All right, FBI Director Christopher Wray just made a chilling prediction. Was it a prediction or was it just a statement? Did he just spill the beans on what we're going to see happen in 2025? You say, what are you talking about? Well, there's a new report coming out wherein which FBI director recently revealed in a 60-minute interview that what he believes is the top threat facing the incoming Trump administration. I'm going to give you a little quote from this, and then we're going to show you a video clip, and we're going to dig into this today. Christopher Wray said in this interview that China has infected critical U.S. infrastructure with malware that can cause us to be taken down and the U.S. offline completely whenever it desires to do so. This is a chilling proclamation made from, again, FBI Director Christopher Wray. Let's talk about it.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's going on, guys? End Time Headlines here, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. Listen, we love to have all you guys on here today. It's good to be with you. We welcome you guys from Apple and from Spotify, coming from Rumble, YouTube, coming from whatever social media outlet you may be watching or listening from. We appreciate you coming on. And listen, if you're new to the program, let us know in the comments section below or in the chat that you're new and where you guys are joining us from. Of course, I'm Ricky Scaparo, the founder and the voice of End Time Headlines. And listen, before we get into this, can you do us a favor? Hit that like button, hit that bell notification, hit that subscribe button. All of these things are going to be beneficial to both of us. It's going to help you and it's going to help me. It's going to help us get seen on these platforms, and it's going to help you keep up with our ministry. And you can take it a step further, as we always say, and that's to download our free app. It's available on Apple and Android devices, and you can pick it up today just by visiting your Play Store, whatever that looks like for you. Downloading the free app today, hitting yes to push notifications, and you're going to be good to go. Every headline, podcast, viewpoint, breaking news, all of it's going to be right there at your fingertips. So as we said right at the opening of the introduction of this podcast today, Christopher Wray is revealing what he says is the top threat facing the incoming Trump administration. He made a chilling statement on a recent 60-minute interview. Wray said that China has infected critical U.S. infrastructure with malware that he claims that China can use to take the U.S. offline whenever it wants.
Well, the greatest long-term threat facing our country, in my view, is represented by the People's Republic of China, the Chinese government, which I consider to be the defining threat of our generation. China's cyber program is by far and away the world's largest, bigger than that of every major nation combined. Chinese government's pre-positioning on American civilian critical infrastructure to lie in wait on those networks, to be in a position to wreak havoc.
Let's remember, Wray was named to the FBI by President-elect Trump in his last term, in 2017. Trump soured on him because of his nonpartisan handling of January 6th. Wray took a jab at Trump, saying facts are important.
Our job as investigators at the FBI is to follow the facts wherever they lead, no matter who likes it. And I add that last part because one of the things that I've seen over my 7.5 years as FBI director is that people often claim to be very interested in independence and objectivity until independence and objectivity lead to an outcome they don't like.
And he defended the FBI.
I do take very seriously attacks against our people in the FBI. And I will tell you that the FBI that I see every single day is 38,000 career law enforcement professionals. Not one of them is a political appointee, not one of them. And they tackle the job with a level of rigor and tenacity and professionalism.
All right, guys, we got to stop. So, again, the reason why we showed you this, guys, is this clip. We went over beyond the context of what we're dealing with or what we're discussing tonight, and that's the threat of quote unquote China. We wanted to show you there that there seems to be an agenda there a little bit, because we got to remember this guy recently announced that he was resigning. In fact, according to a report, he resigned nearly 3 years early, and it was because him and Trump did just not get along. And again, because he is the FBI director, he took it personal when Trump blasted the FBI for their credibility or the lack thereof. And can you blame him? I mean, look how they handled Hillary Clinton. Look how they handled that situation, and how that the lack there of justice that was done from that situation. Look how many times the FBI has dropped the ball. I mean, for goodness sake, Trump nearly was killed because of their incompetence. And we could go on and we could talk about all kinds of other scenarios and situations where, again, and it's no wonder, guys, that we sit back and it's no wonder that the American people have lost their trust in these three-letter agencies. And we're not talking about just the FBI and the CIA and the DHS. I'm talking about even the FDA, where people are losing people are losing their trust in all of these agencies because of all the inconsistencies, the incompetence, the lies, the cover-ups, the double standards, the propaganda, the censorship, and it goes on and on and on. So this is why I wanted to talk about this. So it makes me wonder when this guy gets on 60 Minutes. And I'm going to ask you this question today. We're going to have this discussion. We're having this talk. Is he right? Is he, and this is how my mind works, and forgive me, but this is how, I always think about this. Either this guy is salty because him and Trump do not get along, and he's been offended, and he's stepping down early because he's not going to get along with Donald Trump. And therefore, as he's going out the door, he's making a statement such as he did as a sense of false information. Is it a false flag? Whatever the case may be. Or does he know, and this is sounds kind of stupid to even say this because he is the FBI director, and we would think him being the FBI director, obviously he knows things and sees things and reads reports and has intelligence that the average individual does not have access to. So you would think that they would know and see things coming down the pike. But then again, let's go back to the credibility issue. These are the same agencies that told us that they didn't know who the drones belonged to. They didn't know who they were from, who sent them, the agenda, what the mission was of these drones. Were they nefarious? Were they not? We were told nothing. They didn't. They played dumb on the whole thing, and none of us believe that. None of us. Anybody with intelligence knows these people know what this is, and they're just not telling us. Okay, so. Again, a chilling statement. He tells us that China has already, and this is not something they are going to do or they're planning on doing it. He is speaking in a past tense statement here, and he says that they have already infected, listen to that, critical U.S. infrastructure with malware. We're talking about the water system, the power grid, the communication system. And it goes on. All of this has been infected with malware that he claims that China at any time of their leisure, they can take offline whenever they want. Now, why is this concerning? Because remember, Trump has already warned of tariffs and trade wars with China. And President Xi, I don't know if y'all remember this, but I'm going to refresh your memory. President Xi came out and warned Trump. Well, as soon as he won the presidency, Xi warned Trump, do not interfere in our affairs. He warned Trump that if Trump goes and pushes these trade wars and tariffs and so on and so forth, that it was going to be very painful for the United States of America. Now, again, I know what you're saying. I can already tell in the comments, well, I don't believe anything this FBI director says. I don't care what President Xi says. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. Well, again, guys, if you're paying attention and you keep your head on a swivel, many times all of these organizations, these governmental people in positions like this of authority and know-how, many times they will give away, if you would, plans and schemes and plots of things that are coming down the pike before they happen. And that's why I'm bringing this up today. Let me read this. All right, Christopher Wray said that China has used malware, again, this is past tense, to infect water treatment plants, transportation systems, the electric grid, natural gas pipelines, and telecommunication systems. Now, remember, guys, they have already, they pinned the tail on the donkey, per se, and blaming China. They said that China has already carried out the largest telecommunications hack in history. They hacked all the major cell phone carriers, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, all of them. This was just recent that they did this. So this is kind of what, on the same page as what he's saying here. So again, there has been concern for quite some time now about an electromagnetic pulse attack, a bomb being detonated by a foreign adversary, released over the atmosphere of the United States of America, released over a major city, New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Illinois, whatever. And many have speculated who could have the capability of doing this. And China always comes up in the spectrum of nations or foreign actors that would have the capacity or the capability or the know-how to do this or carry this out. Now, what is frightening about this? I'm not going to keep you long today, but again, this is a point of conversation I want y'all to think about and pray about. Again, a lot of times when we do these, guys, it's not just to inform you, but it's also to give you a point of reference of prayer. All of our prayer warriors and our intercessors, this is something you can pray about. Remember, there has been multiple U.S. officials, senators, congressmen, people in high positions that have made these statements that they believe that all these mysterious drones that we're all seeing were actually the work of China.
So let's just zoom out, because drones are often used recreationally. What makes the drones that we're seeing over New York and New Jersey different than drones that you might see at a tourist location like the Grand Canyon?
Yeah, some of these drones are large. They've been compared to SUVs, for instance. They have flashing lights. They move in erratic ways, which a hobbyist probably would not be able to accomplish. So the general feeling is that these are drones which are not from your general run-of-the-mill hobbyist. There's something more.
They are something more. And do we know where they're taking off from? I mean, what's the range of one of these drones?
We don't know the answers to those questions. Some of the drones have been observed coming over the Atlantic Ocean. Others have just been hovering around inland areas. So there's, I guess the answer is all of the above in terms of where they're coming from. As to their range, that we can only speculate.
The governors of New York and New Jersey have sought to calm residents, but they themselves are asking for answers and for more resources. Let's talk about where these drones have been sighted. Some have just been over residential neighborhoods. What do you make of where they've been spotted and if that means anything?
It means that who was ever operating these drones is very concerned about what might be in those residential neighborhoods. There have been reports, and you start to try to put through all of these reports, but there have been reports of spikes in radiation in the New York metropolitan area, 2 of them, one on each side of the Hudson. And so that leads to the conclusion that maybe they're looking for an implanted nuclear weapon. One thing we know, and that is for more than a decade, U.S. officials have been worried about the North Koreans taking apart a device, smuggling the parts into the United States, and reassembling it in the location of their choice. So this is not something which is just wild speculation. And when you talk about radiation, clearly this could be one of the things that the drones are doing. And that would explain why they're over residential areas, because the device could be planted in one of those places. Now, the reason why this speculation has gained some currency is because the Pentagon has said these are not military drones. And that's and they say it's not foreign. So if you put those 2 things together, it means they're domestic. These are obviously not drones operated by individuals, and that leads you to believe maybe Department of Homeland Security, maybe FBI, maybe even the CIA, even though they're not allowed to operate on American soil. So if the danger is serious enough, we could see the U.S. Taking emergency action like that. So until we hear from the president, until we get more information, until we get more consistent information, we have to plan for the worst.
And that our U.S. government was turning a blind eye, per se, and allowing our foreign adversary to do whatever they're doing. Mapping, spying out. I mean, again, they've already allowed China to come in. We've talked about this multiple times. They've allowed China to come in and buy up mass amounts of U.S. farmland, and consequently enough, within so much of a perimeter of mileage of these farmlands that China has come in and purchased, within that perimeter are these U.S. military bases. And there was I can't remember how many, I think it was like 17 to 19 military bases in the United States. We're not even talking about in the United Kingdom. We're just talking about in the United States of America. All of these military bases all reported quote unquote mysterious drone activity that were unconventional, and where in which these drones were they had the ability to carry out maneuvers and things that were just not your normal drones that could be purchased at a Best Buy or online or whatever the case may be. So again, this is why this is concerning to me anyway. Now I'm going to refresh your memory. This is a Air Force general who, now this was 1 year ago. This was in 2024, early on in 2024. This was an interview with Fox News, and wherein which this Air Force general came on and he made a bold prediction, and he warned that the United States of America would be at war with China by 2025. Check this out.
Retired four-star General Jack Keane, former Army Vice Chair of Staff, chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, and a Fox News senior strategic analyst. General, it's always great to have you on. We hear a lot of talk about General Mike Minahan saying the U.S. will be at war with China by 2025. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says no. In your case, General, you don't think it's as much about timing as how important it is having an effective military deterrence, which right now we don't have. Fair?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, Trace. I mean, first of all, this general was talking in very blunt, direct language to his subordinates. And what we do in peacetime in all the services is prepare for war. And hopefully, by doing so, we're deterring war. And that's what he was doing. He was making certain his troops understood that war could be around the corner. We have all said the very same thing to our troops at different levels of command during our tenure. But what I think is really going on here, he just came out of the Pacific region. He's very conversant with what is taking place there and the fact that we have lost our military deterrence. It has eroded because of the 9/11 wars and budgets that don't meet the requirements. And he sees that and knows that China does have a military advantage right now. More ships, more planes, and certainly more missiles. And he doesn't certainly want them to take advantage of that, but it's possible they could. It's not knowable what's going on in President Xi's mind, whether it's a year, 2 years, or 5 years from now. But what is knowable is that our military deterrence is not what it should be. And I believe that is where the general's coming from, because he knows that we're vulnerable and we have got to fix it.
So what's the remedy? I mean, that's the whole thing, General. What's the remedy to get stronger in the Pacific region if that's the necessity here? And how long will it take? Is it a money issue? Is it something else?
It's partially money, but it's also a commitment. One, we have to upgun Taiwan. We've got a $19 billion backlog of equipment going to Taiwan that they have paid for. And the backlog is years. The Congress has got to get into this and roll their sleeves up and fix the foreign military sales system with a sense of urgency. And certainly we have to do training with Taiwan in the way that Jennifer just mentioned we're doing with South Korea. We don't do much of any of that with Taiwan. We self-deter ourselves because we don't want to provoke the Chinese. And second thing was, you got to move our forces, more forces into the region. Yes, more planes. Yes, more ships and more missiles. We've got to deploy them and make certain that China understands that there is an effective deterrent. And the only way that's going to happen is their generals will look at it and say, well, the cost is too great for us to start a war over Taiwan here with the United States, because we don't know what the outcome will be.
All right, guys, now keep all this in mind. This is all on the table and is waiting for the Trump administration. As of the recording of this, we are literally days away from the presidential inauguration. Trump will officially become the president of the United States. The thing that has me concerned, guys, is, again, and you got to understand, I see things and perceive things that ordinary people don't, because as the call of a watchman, I take in consideration the seasons in which we're in, how the shifting of the cultural winds change, the political atmosphere, how nations are responding, the signs in the heavens. I take all this together. This is the big tapestry that I work with, that the Lord has given me wisdom with and understanding with, and I try to put all this together. And I'm going to tell you, and I talked about this on yesterday's podcast, or not yesterday, but a couple days ago, that we do have some indicators that are I would say some alarm bells that are going off that indicate that we could be in some troubled waters even in the first 6 months of the Trump presidency. Now, as the recording of this, the news has broke that there has been what they're saying is a ceasefire. And this has already made headlines everywhere, that Israel and Hamas has agreed to a ceasefire. Now, what I am understanding is this was a very bad deal for Israel. And this was more of a victory for Hamas, but I don't know how. And I'm going to just read this to you. Let's just pull this up. And again, as a recording of this, guys, I'm recording this on Wednesday, January the 15th, because I plan on being out of town, so I will not be in my studio recording. I won't have the latest update, so this could change, so keep that in mind. The information I'm about to share with you could change. This is from the Associated Press. Israel and Hamas has agreed to a ceasefire deal to pause the devastating war in the Gaza Strip. The U.S. and Qatar said on Wednesday, raising the possibility of winding down the deadliest and most destructive fighting between the bitter enemies. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office did not confirm the deal, saying the final details were still being sorted out. So again, I'm sure as by the time this airs on Thursday, January the 16th, is when you're going to be watching this, there'll probably be more details in this, and we'll report that on our website, but we won't probably get that out to you on a podcast. But here's the point, and here's the breakdown. Officials from the U.S. and Qatar said the deal would begin on Sunday. Imagine that. It's literally the 11th hour before Trump is inaugurated on Monday. Because why is that? Because remember, Trump warned, we'll pull this back here so you can see. Remember, Trump warned Hamas and said that if you don't release the hostages and there's not some kind of a ceasefire done by the time I get sworn into office, then he said that all hell would break loose in the Middle East. So I'm not shocked, honestly, or surprised that this is literally the last hour deal. Now, in details of this, nearly 100 individuals are still captive inside Gaza, and Israel's military believes at least a third of them are dead. The three-phase agreement would begin with the release of 33 women, children, older adults, and wounded civilians in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian women and children imprisoned by Israel. Soldiers and other male captives would be released in the second phase. The agreement would bring relief to the hard-hit Gaza Strip, where Israel's offensive has reduced large areas to rubble and displaced around 90% of the population of 2.3 million. Many are at risk of famine. And again, that is an official report from the Associated Press. And again, I'm hearing some other scattered sources, I would say, that are saying that the details of this is not so much good for Israel as it is better for Hamas. So we will see. Now, again, is this peace and safety before destruction comes? And I say that because, again, we've got a lot of events coming up. We've got a blood moon, as I said, coming over America on Purim. On that specific date under the Trump's presidency. Does that mean Iran's going to get involved? So we've got a lot going. We're in January. That's not going to be happening until March. So it's going to be very intriguing and very interesting. So let's recap this before we close today's program. You've got the FBI director warning that China has already infected critical infrastructure in the United States with malware capable of them literally flipping a switch and bringing us to our knees anytime they desire to do so. Now, you couple with this with the possibility that they were involved with the drone invasion across many parts of the United States over critical military bases and around land and farmland that they purchased. You couple this with the fact that you have these other threats that have emerged with lone wolf attacks, such as what we saw at no sooner than the ball dropped on New Year's Eve, we go into the next day in the wee hours of New Year's Eve, going into New Year's Day. You have two major events that take place on U.S. soil. And we haven't even got to the inauguration yet, which there is going to be a massive buildup of thousands of police officers, thousands of federal agents. We're talking about thousands of military, National Guard. Who knows And we can only pray and hope, guys, that nothing does happen and take place. But listen, we are, again, for you guys who may not be aware of this, we will not be broadcasting tomorrow, which will be January 17th, because it'll be yours truly's birthday. And myself and my family, we will be going out of town, just for a time of relaxation and just spending time with family for my birthday. So I will not be in my studio. We will not be recording anything on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So we're taking 3 days off. We'll be right back here on Monday. Very likely, the Lord willing, we will be doing a podcast on Monday afternoon. And then, of course, we will resume Monday night's prayer, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, by the time we come back on here, guys, the inauguration will be happening. So again, for all of you prayer warriors and intercessors, keep praying, keep interceding, because we're in a very critical timeline that's coming up again on January 20th, which is Monday, for the presidential inauguration. So listen, guys, we love you. We appreciate you coming on to today's podcast. Again, if you enjoy our segments like this, you enjoy our content, and if it's of any value to you, it's a blessing to you, we'd always love to for you guys to pray about becoming a monthly partner. And you can do that 2 different ways: electronically through multiple different ways, and or you can give by check or money order, and you can make it out to End Time Headlines, P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia 30655. So guys, we're going to sign off for today. Again, we appreciate your prayers of safety, for traveling mercies as we hit the road. And we'll be gone for 3 days, and then we'll be back. I appreciate your prayers of safety. And again, you guys are a huge blessing to us in our ministry. And we pray that we're just as much as a blessing to you as well. So we love you guys. We appreciate you. Lord willing, we'll see you in a few days. God bless.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.